There are moments in life when words aren't necessary. Moments when a single glance, a gesture, or a smile speaks louder than any public statement could ever dream of saying. And for Lee Min-ho and Kim Go-eun, that moment came when fans least expected it. The setting was simple. An award show, glamorous but routine in the world of celebrities. Stars walked the carpet, flashing practiced grins for cameras, waving politely to reporters, and exchanging greetings with fellow actors. But somewhere in the middle of the flashbulbs and the carefully choreographed appearances, something unscripted happened. Lee Min-ho and Kim Go-eun crossed paths. It wasn't dramatic, not in the way that television dramas frame their encounters. There was no sweeping soundtrack, no spotlight just for them. Instead, it was quiet, subtle, almost fleeting. But it was enough. Fans who replayed the footage frame by frame noticed it immediately. Kim Go-eun, radiant in her gown, turned her head slightly as she passed. Lee Min-ho, tall and composed as always, looked her way at the exact same second. And then it happened. That smile. Not the one he wears for cameras. Not the polite, practiced smile of a man who has lived in the spotlight for more than a decade. This smile was different. It was softer, brighter. As though for a brief second, the world shrank down to just the two of them. Kim Go-eun's lips curled into the faintest grin in return, almost shy. And though they quickly moved on, pretending as though nothing had happened, fans had already caught it. The clip spread across social media like wildfire. "Did you see how he looked at her?" one fan tweeted. "Lee Min-ho's smile said everything," another wrote. And soon, hashtags began to trend. Hashtag Minoon moment and hashtag the smile that said it all. For casual viewers, it might have seemed like nothing. But for those who had followed their journey, it was monumental. Ever since the king, eternal monarch, whispers about their chemistry had lingered. The way they looked at each other during press tours. The comfort in their body language during interviews. The little inside jokes they seemed to share. Even after the cameras stopped rolling, fans couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. And now, with just one smile, those whispers felt louder than ever. Inside the venue, the two stars carried on as professionals. Lee Min-ho mingled with industry friends. Kim Go-eun greeted directors and colleagues, and they posed separately for photographers. But even then, attentive fans noticed small details. When Kim Go-eun walked on stage to present, Lee Min-ho's eyes followed her. When the crowd applauded her speech, his hands clapped with just a little more energy than before. It wasn't obvious. It wasn't showy. But it was enough for those who knew how to look. Later, backstage, the two were spotted briefly in conversation. Nothing dramatic, just a few words exchanged, smiles traded, before they each headed off in different directions. But the smile lingered. That same unmistakable smile that fans had seen earlier. Softer when it was just for her. What made it so powerful wasn't just the smile itself. It was what it symbolized. In an industry where appearances are carefully curated, where every move is calculated to avoid rumors and speculation, something real slipped through the cracks. Something unscripted. And fans felt it. One fan described it perfectly. It wasn't just a smile. It was recognition. Like he saw her. Not Kim Go-eun the actress. Not Kim Go-eun the public figure, but her. And that's why it felt so special. As the night went on, the internet couldn't stop buzzing. Clips of the moment were slowed down, edited with romantic soundtracks, analyzed from every angle. Some insisted it was nothing but friendly respect. Others swore it was proof of something deeper. And then there were those who simply sat back, smiling, saying, "Sometimes love doesn't need to be declared. It shows itself." And perhaps that was the beauty of it all. It wasn't about a grand confession or dramatic reveal. It was about something small, something intimate, slipping past the careful walls they had built. Because a smile like that is hard to fake. For Lee Min-ho, it revealed a softness he rarely shows in public. For Kim Go-eun, it sparked a glow that fans recognized instantly. And together, for just one fleeting moment, it gave the world a glimpse into something that words could never capture. The days following the award show only fueled the conversation. Reporters asked polite questions, but neither star confirmed anything. Lee Min-ho, ever the professional, spoke about his projects and his gratitude for fans. Kim Go-eun, poised and elegant, discussed her upcoming roles. But neither addressed the smile. They didn't need to. Because the truth was already out there. In that clip, in that glance, in that unguarded moment. Fans knew what they saw. And what they saw was undeniable. Perhaps that is why their story resonates so deeply with so many. Not because of dramatic announcements or stage gestures, but because of the small, human moments. Because love, at its core, isn't about headlines. It's about the quiet ways it reveals itself. In the way one person looks at another. In a smile that carries more than words ever could. And so, long after the award show ended, long after the cameras were packed away, the memory of that smile lived on. Replayed. Rewatched. Retold. They tried to hide it, fans would say, shaking their heads with knowing smiles. But that smile. His smile said it all. And maybe, just maybe, that was the most honest truth of all. The story of Lee Min-ho's smile toward Kim Go-eun didn't fade with the award show. In fact, it became the spark that reignited global fascination with the two stars. In the days that followed, the moment was dissected across every platform. Fan forums lit up with theories, edits flooded TikTok and Instagram, and YouTube channels dedicated entire videos to analyzing the meaning of that glance. Some slowed the footage down to highlight the shift in his expression, the softness in his eyes, the way his smile lingered even after she looked away. Others pulled clips from older interviews, comparing the warmth of that smile to moments they had shared years ago. And the conclusions were almost always the same. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't acting. This was real. For those who had been following their journey since the king, eternal monarch, it felt like a continuation of a story they had always believed in. Back then, their chemistry had been undeniable. The way Lee Min-ho leaned just a little too close during behind-the-scenes clips. The way Kim Go-eun's laughter seemed brighter when he was around. The quiet, unspoken comfort that passed between them even when the cameras weren't supposed to be rolling. And now, years later, here they were. Still finding each other in a crowded room, still unable to hide the connection that bound them together. What struck fans most deeply wasn't just the smile itself, but what it seemed to represent. Because a smile like that isn't just about happiness. It's about recognition. It's about affection. It's about a kind of love that doesn't need to be spoken out loud, because it shines through in the simplest of gestures. Even those who weren't avid followers couldn't help but be moved. A famous columnist wrote, "In a sea of practiced smiles, Lee Min-ho stood out because it wasn't for us. It wasn't for the cameras. It was for her." And perhaps that was the heart of it. It wasn't a performance. It was a secret that slipped through the cracks. One smile that gave away more than 1,000 interviews ever could. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, those who worked closely with them noticed the same thing. Staff whispered about how Lee Min-ho seemed just a little more attentive when Kim Go-eun was near.